Decade duels, the 2015 MVPs. Let's start with the American League, Norbs.
All right, the AL MVP winner of that season was Josh Donaldson of the Toronto Blue Jays.
Oh,
Uh,
Donald.
Definitely, the bringer of rain, if you will. He had his best season of his career in 2015, hitting 297, 41 home runs, led the league with 123 RBIs, 371 on base, 568 slugging, and 939 OPS. He led the league with 122 runs. He also had 184 hits and 7.1 WAR. The Blue Jays had quite a year in offense. His teammates Jose Bautista hit 40 home runs and Edwin Encarnacion with 39, and both finished over 100 RBIs. The AL MVP runner-up was your man, Mike Trout of the LA
Boy.
Angels. Um, the big center fielder ended the year hitting 299, tied with Josh Donaldson actually for 41 home runs. He had 90 RBIs, a 402 on base, 590 slugging, and 991 OPS, 104 runs and 172 hits, and a 9.6 WAR. Trout's teammate Albert Pujols finished just behind Trout with 40 home runs, and he had 95 RBIs, a 307 on base, 480 slugging, and 787 OPS. So Trout and Pujols really did pull together the Angels, despite finishing 8 games over 500 and a close third place in the division, just 3 games back of the division-winning Rangers. This decade dose for me was fair. Josh Donaldson and the Blue Jays had a terrific year. They had a much more eventful season than the Angels. The Jays returned to the postseason, for the first time in over 20 years. The Angels had some good offense that year, but unfortunately their pitching was rather dismal.
That's been dismal ever since.
Yeah, I didn't really invest much on pitching there. Donaldson was hitting around a solid offense with Bautista, Encarnacion, and Martin. The Jays pitching staff was also great, with the addition of David Price during the trade deadline. It added more fuel to the staff and was, instrumental leading them into the postseason. A fair for me. That it was a memorable year for the Jays indeed all around.
Here's a great duel from the National League that year. Bryce Harper won the MVP of the Washington Nationals. He defeated your boy Paul Goldschmidt when he was with the D-backs.
All right.
This was quite the duel. This might have been one of the more one of the closer ones that I've come across so far. Bryce had his best season in 2015. He finished first in WAR, runs, home runs, on base percentage, slugging, and OPS. And Paul Goldschmidt was pretty close behind. He was second in WAR, second in batting average, second in RBIs and OPS. He was third in runs, hits, on base percentage, and slugging. He actually stole 21 bases that year, which is unusual for a first baseman. And he's one of the best first basemen in baseball. And Bryce Harper is one of the best right fielders. So you had two guys just duking it out. This was a decade duel if I ever saw one. Well, the more I digged into the stats, it was harder to decide on this. So the Nationals that year, they finished second, and the D-backs finished third in their division. But both teams finished way back. The Nats were 14 games back of the wild card. The D-backs were 18, and that's the wild card. That's not even the divisions.
Wow.
And even the teams were pretty similar. Both teams finished second and third in runs, but the Nationals hit more homers, while the D-backs had more than twice as many stolen bases. So they were definitely a hit and run team. They were number 1 and 2, the players in intentional walks, which is quite the stat that I found. They were number 2 and 3 in total bases as well. Paul was obviously a better defender at first than Harper was in the outfield. He only had 5 errors, and he was tied for the best fielding percentage for first baseman, 997. So honestly, it's a very close season. It's so hard to find arguments based on the way their teams performed if you try to add that in, because the offenses were similar. The pitchings were both in the middle of the pack. So you have to go by the individual stats, and then Harper's numbers were slightly better overall. And if you took these guys off both teams, their teams would still suck. They wouldn't have made the playoffs. So it's almost a wash for me to try to use the team's performances as the guys around them as an argument. So I give this Bryce Harper's NL MVP a fair for 2015, who outdueled Paul Goldschmidt.